Here we go.
Hello and welcome, everyone. You are tuning in live or watching the replay for this really special event that we are doing on human design parenting and looking at more into the DNA codons and vulnerabilities and where you can find them in your chart. So this is going along the lines of our next episode that is launching tomorrow, October 13th, the Friday 13th at 5 p.m. Pacific time on YouTube and Spotify. So make sure that you are tuning in live and we can all watch together. It's really fun. And this information is really important right now. We're seeing a lot of breakdowns in our systems. I mean, the statistics with over medication, misdiagnosis, improper diagnosis, health, our children, ourselves, our own mental well-being, how we can, better care for our own selves and our children's. It's been so beneficial to look at human design and see what vulnerabilities are affecting us, our children, what is the truth, and what is maybe not correct for ourselves and children. So we hope this information gives you something to contemplate, helps you use your own inner authority to see if there's better, techniques or support that you need or your child needs. So let's get started.
Yeah, and as some of you may know or may not know, I've been doing a lot of deep diving into the dream and the waking chart, and I was able to find a correlation between illnesses and disease that people are experiencing now and their charts by finding different vulnerabilities or different what are called Achilles heel gates. In the dream rave, we have only 15 gates as opposed to 64 in the waking. And in the dream chart, if you have a gate and you do not have it in your waking chart, then that's called an Achilles heel, and that has a amino acid attached to it. And a lot of times that amino acid is impacted. And there's a few different things that do impact. And I'm not going to go into it too much now, but as we pull up charts, we can absolutely look at that. And the reason why the parenting came into this is Lauren, she worked with children for many, many years. And she saw what was happening as kids were being raised outside of alignment, not even understanding what she was seeing at that time, but she was able, just through her intuition at the time, to really, really help them. And so one of the things we're looking at now is, as our children are born, we have the information that we need to be able to compare the charts and know where our children's vulnerabilities are from the beginning. And it makes it just that much more important to understand our children's human design and the proper way to nurture them growing up. And I can tell you, I raised two kids, two young men. They're men now, not so young. One's going to be 40 this year. And I knew nothing about human design. And I don't even know if at the time that I was a mother, I would have been open to the intel. But now, knowing what I know and seeing the way I raised my children, had I have known then what I know now, I would like to think that I would have done things a lot differently. So I can't blame myself. I did the best I could with what I had, but we are at a time in our lives where we have the information in front of us, and it can make a big difference if we start getting that intel out, because as a nation, we are not all right. I mean, a huge percentage of the population are on prescription drugs. We have mental health issues. We have fighting within our own families, let alone within the world. And I see people all the time that say, well, my mom and my dad beat me when I grew up, or they, took the belt to me and I grew up okay. And I'm sitting there looking at them going, did you really? You're on 10 different medications, you're depressed. It's this idea of being okay is if we can afford to pay our bills and keep a roof over our heads, we're okay. But mentally and physically, not necessarily. So with that being said, are there any questions before we get started?
And I do want to add one thing. So just because we have a vulnerability that shows up in the chart, there are several things that we can do proactively that can minimize them from showing up. So for example, I have one that shows up in my chart, but since I've been living my design and really following my PHS, which is your primary health system, and it shows up in your design as well, your vehicle, your body naturally starts healing. So just because we have certain vulnerabilities, it doesn't mean that this is the end all be all. It's just a vulnerability. When you align to your design, that heals so much, and the universe will bring you what you need. But it's when you go against your design and your inner authority that the diseases and where these vulnerabilities are can start turning on, and what they will manifest looking like.
So the first thing I want to go over this chart first, because I did write it out. I didn't write out anybody else's, but this is Belinda's son, and she sent this to me because he has had a lot of health issues. So the first thing I want to do before we get to the health issues is I want to call to everybody's attention that her son is an emotional projector. And that means he's a non-energy type. And we kind of want to go into, he's pretty much grown right now, but to give you an idea, if you are still in the childbearing years or have grandchildren coming up, of things that you can look at to kind of help these children grow up in an atmosphere that is best for them. So Lauren, being that you're the expert on the children and you're also a projector, did you want to get started?
Yeah, thank you. So right off the bat, I'm noticing he's a triple split and he's a projector and he's emotional. So he just has a split definition. Sorry. So he has a split definition and he's an emotional projector. So he does have a couple motors, but he has an undefined sacral. So he's a non-energy type. And with emotional projector, they really need to ride their emotional wave to make decisions. And for him, since he has his root defined to his emotions, to his will, and then his spleen, that's going to feel like the pulse and the urge to when he is riding his emotional wave, and it feels good for him to follow through on maybe like an invitation or something that he is being called to share his insight or share his gifts. With an undefined sacral, and for a projector though, especially being a kid, they will want to keep up. So they might go into burnout, they might go into comparison with other generator or manifesting generator types. So the great thing that we can do as, for our kids, even if you don't have kids, but just have kids in your life, you work with them, you have nieces and nephews, etc., is for a projector, you want to ask them their insights. You want to recognize them. And it could be anything small, like, oh, I noticed that you're really into this. Like, that's awesome. Can you tell me more? What do you think? How does that feel? Especially because he's an emotional projector. How does that feel? Like, what are your insights about that? And he has the 4323. So that's all about, saying anything in the moment that comes to him. And it's like a very unique insight, and it just will happen and he'll say it. And it's like, oh, wow, I didn't even know I was going to say that. So the key points for a projector child is recognizing them, inviting them to share their insights, and then honoring their ebbs and flows of energy. So if they're taking a little bit more time to process something because they're not in response, they're not a generator, just give them that time and that space. If they're emotional, do not pressure them to make a decision. Give them at least 24 to 72 hours so they can, big decisions, so they can ride their emotional wave. If they don't feel up to like going to an event or change their mind because of on how they feel, like we really get to honor that.
And I'm kind of laughing at this because, first of all, projector children, they can have problems at school because sometimes they are not recognized. So they can often be bullied, or people won't like them, not understanding why, thinking it's the kid themselves when actually it's their aura comes in and penetrates and goes straight to the center to people. And a lot of times that makes people feel uncomfortable. So a lot of times projectors can kind of get lost in the school system. Now, I'm laughing with this kid because he's got the freaker genius, the 4323, but he also has the 3955, which that is the most emotional channel you can have, and it's extremely moody, and he won't even recognize he's moody. And I've got the same channel in the same configuration. He won't even recognize he's moody because he can't recognize his emotions. His emotions are going to come out when you say something like, "What's wrong with you?" And then he starts talking and he starts crying. And a lot of times he won't even understand why he's crying. But projectors can be very bossy to begin with. But I'm looking and he's got this 4037, this defined ego with two different channels. And this is the 4426 is the ability to sell and close the sale. So he's probably a pretty good salesman, could possibly talk you into things as a child, but he has completely open ego center, not so his environment where he's
You mean
at.
G center?
G center, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
G,
he's an undefined G center. It's not completely open.
yeah, undefined G center. So his environment and where he's at is very important to him. But with this defined ego, he probably believes he knows exactly who he is. And so he looks like quite a fun character or not at times. So Belinda, would you like to say anything? Did we get anywhere close?
Yeah, I was going to say, sorry, couldn't find my unmute button. Yeah, no, he was the cheekiest child who could get anything out of everyone.
Wow, that's amazing.
This 39 is a provoker. Provoke. They know where to poke.
Yeah, so he's always had a lot of friends, still does. He just went through this horrible stage where, you know, initially it was his iron absorption, which we still haven't determined why. And then sort of puberty hit late and we had this OCD and anxiety come out, you know, and the suicide ideation. So it just got really crazy for about 5 years. It was just awful at home, just trying to, you know, help him through all that and also survive as a family through that. He's come out the other side and yeah, but he's always been very strong-willed, I must admit. I think that's part of what's driven him through, and he's finished school and he's looking at uni and all of that. And I actually think that's, he's always known what he wanted to do. He wants to be a chiropractor. And it was just a shock to the system having this really crazy kid go to this teenager with all these issues.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, he is here. I mean, he is cheeky. This 39, it could be a lot of fun or not. And he has this defined ego. If you're going to be a projector, having the 4323 and 4 different motors three different motor is the way to go. The thing with him though is he's going to feel like he has a lot more energy than he does, and he's not going to know when enough is enough, and he could wear himself out. So one of the things I wanted to go through, because you did say that he had a lot of health issues. So I went through his dream chart, and the first thing I noticed is he has this gate 12, and this gate 12, he's got it in design. And design is the subconscious in the dream rave, and he also has it in his waking chart, and he's got it in a line 5 in dream, and then he has it in what line did he have it in the 3, and the 3 and the line 5, they do not get along. There's a disharmony there. And that gate 12 in design is a tough one. It's called the terminator. And what a terminator codon does is it tells the mRNA process, when it's out making the different proteins or gathering them in order to make the amino acid necessary, it tells it when to stop making it. And so I have noticed a lot of people with this 12 have a lot of medical problems. So I'm just going to go through some of these, because your son had an Achilles heel of gate 19 and 33 or 53, which means he has the 19 in sleep, but he does not have it in his waking. The same with the 53. He has it while he's sleeping, but he doesn't have it while he's awake. So right off the bat, whenever you have that, you have an electric pulse that's going, but it really has no place to go when you are awake. And then he has 3 channels with line disharmonies, the 15, the 27, and the 28. So that's very much like the terminator gate. So he's got a lot of stuff going on. He probably has an extremely active dream life, and either dreams or might have some problems sleeping, because he has a ton of activation. So now I want to go through and show you just very quickly, and we're not going to go completely through the amino acid, but you talked about anxiety, depression, OCD, suicide ideation, and the iron. And I want to show you where that shows up in the amino acids. So with the gate 19 isoleucine, that's iron deficiency. The gate 53 and 15 are both serine. That's depression, anxiety, chronic fatigue syndrome, and brain disorders. So that could be where the OCD comes in. Then we talked about the terminator gate 12. The terminator gate doesn't have an amino acid, but I have noticed that it highly impacts the gate 22, which that amino acid is proline, and proline is essential for proper bone growth. And then the leucine, beneficial for skin and bones, promotes growth of muscle and bone tissue.
Can I add something really quick, Vicki?
Yes, please.
So not only is this showing up with like the amino acids in the DNA, but all the gates that show up in the dreams, they also condition us with how they, just their energy of what they would look like in the waking. So for example, I have the gate 42 in the dreams. I don't have it in the waking, but I always felt like I needed to always get things done, but I thought it was because of my undefined root. But that's how the gate 42 was showing up, not only along the lines of like the amino acids and like the health stuff, but also the energy of the gate. So not only does this show up with the amino acids and the health stuff, but it can also impact the energy and condition you in that way. So gate 19 is extremely sensitive. It's connected to animals, and that could be conditioning and showing up that way of like this, this like you don't understand why you're so sensitive, and then that could create a story and kind of spin somebody out. And then if they have, what was the other gate for 53?
Yeah.
It's this pressure to start things and feeling like I need to start something. And so if they're not following their strategy and their authority, then that could just totally spin somebody out and start things that they don't even want to start or they don't feel good about. And then leaning into this oversensitivity. And it just shows up differently depending on the type of person. But that's the expressions of these Achilles heel gates.
Yeah. You went deeper than I was going to go, but thank you.
You're welcome.
My deep friend. Okay. And then gate 27. Okay. We went over that. And then gate 28, again, that impacts the brain and neural health. It's also can affect fatigue, and it helps sharpen the mind by increasing concentrations of chemicals within the brain, which are necessary for proper mental functioning. And again, low aspartic acid may result in extreme fatigue or depression. So when I look at your son's chart, Belinda, I see a kid that had many, many health issues very early in his life because he has very, very active a dream life, and your dream life really impacts your life just as much, if not more, than it does your waking. And it's all subconscious because you're asleep. Now, he has a determination of direct. So if he could start living, if he could learn about human design and start stepping into how a projector is designed to live and start eating direct. He's somebody that he handles life. Your determination is kind of how you take on life and how you kind of eat. And so the direct is somebody who eats during the daylight hours or in bright lights, not really meant to eat like after hours. They kind of approach life very directly, which would absolutely make sense with this 4323, this 3955, and this divine ego center. Just very direct, get it out, say it how it is. And especially being that way as a kid, a lot of times when a kid is direct like that, especially around adults where it's like, children should be seen and not heard. And I'm not saying necessarily in your household, but that can kind of get pushed out of them, of kind of like a who do you think you are or what have you. But if he could start stepping into his human design, he can start eating appropriately for his body, using his energy appropriately. That will really help him with these long-term health issues.
Yeah, and also, so it's like waking up when the sun rises, and then as the sun sets, it's like, okay, and then your day is done, and then you're not eating during like the night, you're not active during the night, because that's direct lighting. And it would be different if somebody was indirect. It would be the opposite.
Yeah. And which is hard for a teenager because when is everybody out having fun?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Belinda, does that make sense?
No, I was going to say that all makes sense. And he lives with a house full of sacral beings. My husband and daughter are both MGs, and I'm a generator. And he does have insomnia as well. And the dreams was really interesting because he always has been like almost psychic his whole life.
The 62.
Yeah, so we've had a lot of
19.
Yeah, we had to have a lot of
clearings. Oh, he has all
house.
3 portals. Wow.
Yeah, he has all 3 portals.
So there was a lot going on when he was young. That seems to have settled, but he does have insomnia as well. And yes, I've spoken to him about eating during daylight hours.
Oh, that's interesting. He not only has all 3 portals, but he has a vulnerability in all of them.
Wow.
Oh, no, not the 62, not the 62. He doesn't. So, okay. Well, Belinda, I hope that gives you some insight.
Yeah, that was wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome. And the next up, we have a set of
Thing one, thing two. That's hilarious.
what's that?
Thing one and thing
And
two.
thing
I like how you name them.
These are Sylvia's twin daughters, and she sent this to me, and I was looking at their charts as I did it because they were born like 9 minutes apart. And I'm looking and I'm like, I went through every line and like everything's the same. And then I looked up here and I went, oh my gosh, one is right, one is left. And then I looked down, one is indirect and one is direct. So in a difference of 9 minutes, you have two twins that have almost identical charts, but one is nocturnal and meant to live their life kind of like a vampire almost. Very well, I won't say that for sure. I will say that many people with indirect kind of sleep during the day and they're awake at night. So you've got one that is indirect and one that is direct. So I reached out to Sylvia and I said, hey, do you have one daughter that's a night owl? And she said, yeah, I call one sunshine and one moonlight. And I started laughing and I said, well, you're not going to believe this.
That is too crazy. Wow.
Yeah. So everything's the same except that. And then I had to laugh and I said, by the way, your daughters are very lazy and they're meant to be lazy. And she's like, oh, it's not a teenage thing. So so did you want to give some insight on raising them as children? They're 19 now, but perhaps some insight for Sylvia.
Yeah. So even though they're generators, and they have all their motors defined, they're emotional. So I notice a lot of people who have motors and emotional, they'll suppress their emotions and just rely on their motors. And the emotional authority always comes first. It's number one. So when somebody is emotionally defined, if they're suppressing their emotions, that's going to be incorrect for them. So they really want to be invited to feel their feelings, to take their time. The emotional being is slow, even though they have all the motors. So it's like dancing with that sort of polarity of like, even though I have all this energy, like I really need to feel my feelings and go about it that way. And then when I have that energy and it feels good and I'm getting that yes, then I can respond to what I am feeling satisfied to respond to. If somebody is non-emotional and they have the sacral defined, they're more in response and like that. So they would be conditioning them out of them being emotional. So their emotional channel it looks like yours, Vicky, right?
Look at this. She has they have almost a similar chart to Yates that we just did, the 30, 55. They have a double 40-37. Wow. And that, oh my goodness. Look at this used car salesman. They could talk people into anything and they're cheeky. And when they put their mind to something, they're not going to change it.
But then they have the crown, the ajna, the throat, and then the G center all undefined. So this is where they're going to be most conditioned and influenced, is the pressure to think, what should I think? What should I believe? I'm trying to prove my point. The undefined throat wants to be heard, seen, and recognized. So if it's not being invited to share, it might be attention seeking, or it might not know when to talk, or it might not know when to stop. And then with the undefined G center, it's being a chameleon in your environment. And so it's making sure their environment feels satisfying. If it doesn't feel good, that's going to be incorrect for them. But what happens with undefined and open G centers is we really amplify and suck in the energy. And so it's really sensitive for those beings. And and they will, with the undefined G center, they will change throughout their lives. They're not meant to have a solid, like, this is who I am for my whole life. It's like, no, I'm going through different evolutions of who I am. And then they're both 5-1. So they're here to share their heresy. They're here to teach. They're here to be really detailed and investigate what they're really interested in too. And so just really recognizing that, supporting that, and then inviting them into their emotions and really like finding that expression with how that wants to come out, and giving them space and time to have, you know, just really good emotional hygiene. Because for those, you know, 50% of the population is emotionally undefined. So if the emotionally defined beings aren't taking care of their emotions, then the undefined beings are amplifying and distorting all that emotional chaos.
Yeah. And something else I want to bring up, because I'm realizing this with myself, and I saw somebody else do it today. This 3955, as I said, is extremely, extremely emotional and moody, but they're not even going to realize it, because half of their emotional wave here is subconscious. Now the 4037, they have, you know, one channel is personality, but the other part of it is subconscious. So they may not even know what they're feeling. And here's what I'm learning is I may not even know what I'm feeling, but if I start writing it out, my emotions will come up. Or if somebody asks me what's wrong and I start talking, because remember, it's in response. And when I'm responding and I start talking, I will just have waves of emotion come up. Also, this 3955 can't make a decision. They go through their emotional wave. You figure out what you want to do, and you get started on it, and then you start questioning yourself. So it's a tough one to have with an emotional wave. They were probably a lot of fun growing up, or not. Could be possibly very stubborn, and you never knew what was going to come out of their mouths. With this open G center, and it's interesting. I'm looking forward to hearing from Sylvia, because you tend to blend in and are a chameleon. And this, especially for kids growing up that have this open G, and even adults who don't know any different, it's easy to fall in with the crowd. It's easy to fall in, and all of a sudden you think you're goth, or you think you're this, or you think you're that.
Oh yeah.
Because
Mm-hmm.
you're with this group and you're taking on their energy and you're amplifying it. Now, I'm wondering if with twins, if their identity is the fact that they are twins, because they're sharing so much. So I'm going to drop it off there and open it up to Sylvia if she has anything to say.
They're very different. But I do see that whatever the thing is, like, you know, whether it's goth or, you know, the knitting club,
Yeah.
or crochet, they'll definitely gravitate, you know, towards that, like the gamers group or the book club and the knitting club or whatever. And then just, you know, now they want to do that kind of thing. As far as like fashion or anything like that, I could say one fell into goth for a minute. And then one is definitely a lot more like night owl, and like we discussed, more of a morning person. As far as moody, I just assumed that was like the once a month thing and being a teenager, you know.
No.
And
Well,
lazy, and the lazy thing.
it is that, but it's also they're going to be that way throughout their lives. But a lot of times when you don't understand, you know, the human design or the energy, you're just kind of looking for answers. But your oldest daughter, she's going to be more direct and more blunt, where the youngest daughter, and correct me if I'm wrong, she's going to be more indirect. She may be more passive aggressive, or she may be a little bit more on the quiet side of sneaking things past, or kind of getting her way, where this one's just going to be, I want this and I want it this way. And this one is a little bit less direct. And I think that's why they are so different, because if you look at all of their lines and gaits are the same, but you've got morning and you've got night. So I think that is the main thing that you're going to see. You've got a quad right here and one left. So the oldest one, she could think about the past more and kind of learning from the past, where the one with the right, she's all forward momentum, like everything.
Forward, yeah. Only whatever is going forward matters. Like, why are you talking about that? Like, it's old news.
Yeah, it's old news, where this one's going to focus a little bit and kind of want to see what the lesson was there. She has a much more I want to say more active brain, more kind of more thought process, where she is a little bit more flowy. And
yeah, one is definitely a lot more academic, you know, like top of the class, you know, and then one is more like, yeah, grades are okay. I'm skimming by, but that's not my priority. Like, I just want to learn how to make jewelry, or I just want to learn how to make, you know, painting, or I want to, you know, so she's like the artistic
this is
one.
the one,
But they're
right?
both very, very artistic. It's just one is a little bit more analytical and like book smart.
So
And
the one
here's-
with the indirect, their inner world is going to be way more important to them. It's like a mystical experience that they have. It's like the story of their life and like their inner vision, and their space around them needs to be like really minimal, because their inner world is so active. So if there's like clutter around, it could get in the way of their own internal process, compared to the one who's direct, which everything on the outside gets to be perfect and pretty, and because it's all outer vision. So it's like noticing all the details and patterns, and if anything's like you know, just out of whack. So those are the differences in how they'll show up for them.
Yeah, this one will see something and just automatically like it or not like it. And this one is going to be more about how it makes them feel. Now, here's something funny. And I'm this also. So I will sit there and I will study and I will do all of this stuff. But when somebody's talking, I'm continually doodling or looking on my phone or what have you, and I'm picking stuff up. And I think I'm learning because I'm taking notes. But the reality with all this rightness, you're just absorbing things. So you could go in to take a test or what have you and think you don't know anything, and then it just comes flowing out of you.
Yep, absolutely. That's how she passed a lot of tests. She's like, "Oh, I'm so screwed. I'm so screwed. Like, I don't even know what I know we're gonna have a test, but I don't think I can remember any of it." And then boom, she aces it.
She aces it. And that's just all natural. And see, when your kids know their human design and they know how they operate, and as a mother, because I had this, and I'd come home and my mother would be, sit down and study, sit down and study. And I'd be like, oh my God, I passed class. I don't think I did more than 2 hours worth of homework my whole life. I somehow passed and have no idea how. So now I study all the time.
Okay, so remind me how, as a mom, you actively allow them to do the emotional part. Like, what do you say? What do you do? Or how do you teach them to their human design in order to understand how to make an emotional generator?
So with your oldest, it's you want to.
I'll be right back. Keep talking.
Yeah. So it's connecting them to their outer vision, and like it's like asking them how does this make you feel? Like giving yourself like time to process, because if somebody feels like they need to make a decision, because their mind will like be amplifying all the thoughts, and it's like, I need to make a decision now, and like have that pressure. But it's like, you know, just say, how does this make you feel? Look for signs, like, because outer vision is all about synchronicities. So it's like, what are the signs? Like, you know, if they're contemplating about taking a job or going to school somewhere, or like a really big decision, it's like, well, getting them in tune with how it makes them feel, not rushing the process,
Yeah.
asking if it makes them still feel satisfied. And
Mhm.
then just also, it's like, looking for that outside confirmation of like a commercial or something outside, or a friend like bringing it up to them.
Mhm.
So that's really going to help with your oldest. And then the younger one, it's going to be a little bit different because their process is about their inner world more. It's about like their inner story and this inner mysticism that they have. And it's making sure that there's not a lot of clutter around them, because that will confuse their inner process.
Mhm.
And also having them maybe contemplate a little bit more at night compared to the daytime, because that's
Mhm.
where they're gonna like, they're a little bit more active, they have more energy at night, and letting them experiment with that. But the
And then,
same process with the emotions.
Now the younger one wants to go into interior design, and that's probably a way to make the places and spaces more minimal or less cluttered, and more harmonic, I guess, like more harmony. um and then the younger one, or the older one, wants to go into language interpretations.
which is funny because the outer vision is typically the person that goes into more of the interior design and those
Okay.
things, where the inner vision is more about how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
But just
When the inner vision one decided to get the job that she wanted, it had to do with arts and crafts, and she didn't really pick it based on how much money she was making. She picked it because she thought it would work, it would make her feel the way that she wanted to feel. Like, it was based on feeling versus, okay, this is the top paying job I can get right now. You know what I mean?
yeah. And that is very much going to be more the inner vision. She's going to be more in touch with her feelings than the outer vision is going to look at something and say, not today, Satan. And the inner would be more like, how does that make me feel? Now, here's something your daughters have sacral responses.
Okay.
And so sitting down and teaching them that sacral response, but also teaching them that there is no truth in the now. And this is going to be harder with the outer vision, because she's going to see somebody and she could just look at somebody and go, I don't like them.
Yeah.
And she won't know why. And then this one's going to say, oh, you're so stuck up. Because that outer vision, they see something, they don't even know what it is that they see, but there's no truth in the now. Tomorrow, that person could show up in a different outfit and they might feel differently about it. There's your decisions. A lot of times with this emotional authority and having the sacral, you think you have that gut instinct, but that gut instinct is based upon your emotion at the time. So they need to learn that, to say no to people. Learning to say no. And you can help them by asking them yes and no questions. Honey, are you sad? Mm-hmm. Like the minute they go into their head and they start trying to explain it, no, get back into the body. Are you happy? Uh-huh. Do you like pizza? Uh-uh. Do you like, wow, I just said to pizza. It must be my mood. So asking them questions and asking them, don't talk, just tell me that.
Okay.
And you'll notice when you're talking to them and they're in their body, they're probably going to grunt and make noises or shake their head yes or no. And that's a true natural response, where if they start trying to talk themselves into something or what have you, they're outside of their outside of their body and in their mind.
And you want them to be in their body, making those decisions from their body.
Yes. What does your body say?
Authority.
Yes. What does your body say?
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay.
Did
So
you guys look into anything with the aminos on this, or didn't have time?
I did not have time to do that, but I will be happy to do that for you.
Okay,
and
perfect.
Send it to you
Awesome.
since you're in my group. And then also also I will tell you, in the classroom files that I have, there's a whole list of generator sacral questions. Now, remember, those sacral questions, they're going to change over time. So if you just have like a sacral session today, and they can kind of track, are you in a good mood in the morning, bad mood, are you affected by the moon, those type things. But you could ask them the questions over a series of couple days and kind of track those answers. Because sometimes the head doesn't know what the body knows.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect.
Okay, so who's next? Who's here? I want to get to the people that are here and have sent in charts. I think
Tara's here, and she sent in like 4 charts.
Okay. Well, do you want to?
Let's start with Caitlin.
Caitlin. Okay. Okay, where is Caitlin? There we go.
Okay.
And I'll be right back again so you can get started.
Okay, so Caitlin is an emotional generator. I didn't send in my chart, but if there is time. Okay, Amanda, no problem. So Caitlin is an emotional generator, and she has a small split. The first thing that I'm seeing immediately is the 3 gates that are going up to from the root center to the sacral. So that's like, those are format channels. They're really intense. I know Vicky knows some about that, so I'll have her speak on that as well. So her inner authority, though, it's consistent because she has the completely subconscious channel of the 1949. So this is the most sensitive channel in the body graph, and it's tribal. So her emotions are, she won't really understand why she feels the way she does, but it's important for her to ride that emotional wave. There could be a lot of like wounding around the family if she really didn't get like that emotional support and the way to like process emotions. If she has anybody in her life that has the gate 42, the 3, or the 9, that can help her really tap into having that emotional wave, and then going up to the sacral, because that's where the split is, and then the G center. So as a kid, and like, this is your daughter, the centers that are most vulnerable, she doesn't have any gates at all, is the open ego and the open head. So the open ego is that like little triangle on the side, on the right center. So this is where we see the most wounding with self-worth, because this is all about ego. This is all about our heart, and this is all about the willpower. So somebody who has a completely open ego center, there's so much wounding here with their self-worth and their heart. And this is just how it shows up. And so it's like really being tender with people who have this, and not forcing them to have the willpower to, keep up, or if they just don't have the energy, or if they, don't feel in the mood to do and continue something. Because she does have the gate 53 to start things, but not the gate 42 to finish. And then she has the 515, which is all about her own natural rhythm. It's all about rituals and extremes. So this can be really intense for other people around them, because no matter what anybody else says, it's their own natural rhythm. So how is that sounding so far, Tara?
It sounds pretty true. She's actually quite a lot like me in terms of, she's an emotional generator. She's a 2-4. I am those things also, but just knowing that, she has this humongous wounding from, her dad, and, she's my kid that's just been 150 several times. So I was listening to the other parent talk about, her child with the suicidal ideations, and we've definitely, been through that. Yeah. So yeah, very, very curious to know really what I can do to motivate her, to help her. She's 21, like in terms of her birth, but like cognitively, she's been delayed. She was on an IEP when she was in high school. So, she also has seizures. So I'm really curious to hear, in terms of vitamins or anything else that could potentially help her.
So I have a question. When she's processing information and eating, does she walk around a lot? Is she, like moving her body? Is she kind of just like this, or is she forced to like stay still and calm?
Forced to stay still, as in like,
or just like
waiting
told
for-
like, or just told like, hey, like stop moving around, or like pay attention, or sit still, or calm down?
Yeah, no. I mean, she was given accommodations in, I think second grade through senior year, but now she's out of high school and she just believes she's not good at anything. So she's not into classes. She's in classes for her, dual diagnosis, addiction and mental illness, but she picks her cuticles as though she's ready to rip them off. So I've got her, fidget spinner things to keep her, but I wish she walked around, because I know that she needs activity, but she really just is kind of, it's kind of funny that I see the hermit kind of in her, because she would love to sleep all day. She would love to just lay around.
Yeah, because the thing that really popped out to me is she has a nervous diet. So people who have a nervous diet, they really need to be walking around and just having that nervous energy around them when they're digesting either information or their food. So anytime that, they're being conditioned to like calm down, sit still, it's so hard for the nervous digestion. So if she were to be able to like move around more and like, it's an experiment. So she might not even really know that that's what her body needs if she's like, amplifying, like, because she has a completely open crown. So it's like amplifying the thoughts and everybody that's around her. So it's like everybody else that's thinking these thoughts, and then she doesn't even know what to think about. That's how the open crown works. And so it's just really getting in her body of like, how does this make me feel? Like letting her like process it and talk it out. And then if she's like moving as she's processing and releasing, and especially if she is going through like these intense rhythms, because she has the channel of rhythm. It's all about like the rituals and the extremes, and the extremes are showing up unconscious. So it's really getting her into the feeling of like, okay, how is this making me feel? How does this feel? Is this bringing me satisfaction? And then, there's going to be a little bit of a delay because she has that small split. So if finding anybody who has the 9, the 3, or the 42 can help her process that. And, the things with these are gates, they act like puzzle pieces, like looking for the other puzzle piece. So she might not even be aware of like who she's attracted to, why she is, but that's how our gates work. And then we make up all these stories of like, oh, well, this person completes me and I feel so good around them. No, it's electromagnetics. We always want to go back to the inner authority. For her, it's how does this make me feel? Does this make me feel satisfied? And so, and then Vicky, can you see if there's any Achilles heels for her and the amino acids?
I'll look at that. And I did want to bring up, like, she has this electromagnetic to the 26, and the 26 is a tough one because that's the trickster. That's the used car salesman in its lower frequency. So especially with the wounding around the ego, and having healing
That's a
and
good point.
stuff to do, she can attract people very easily who she feels this connection with, because they're going to, that 26 comes in, it lights up her ego center or her heart
self-worth,
center,
yeah.
and she's going to think they're great but they're not necessarily great for her. And I see this 15-5, which you talked about. I think that could really throw somebody off balance. But then she also has 3 format gates. And let me tell you, these format gates, this is an energy that when it pulses on, it's like nothing's going to stop you. I want to start a project, that's going to happen. This needs to change, it's going to happen. And then this 52 is inaction, or action, doing something or not. So these energies come up, but they don't connect to the sacral, so they don't really have any place to go. But when she gets this urge,
So that's like kind of like frazzled energy, right? Like emotional, like frazzled energy.
Yeah, how do we redirect it, or can we?
when she is like that, and you have to see if there's any electromagnetics within your family that helps her get rid of that.
Anybody who has the 42, the 3, or the 9.
Yeah, one of the best things you can do is when she is in that mood where this energy is coming up and she doesn't know how to take her to a coffee shop, take her to Walmart, take her to Target, take her someplace where she can.
That's a good idea. And then she's going to be able to be in that nervous energy too for her.
Yeah, and there will be an electromagnetic there that will help to calm her down. She does have the 12, as far as sleep goes, she does have the 12. Now, it is in personality, so that's better, but she does have an electromagnetic to the 22. So that's all about the proline.
Well, and she has the 50 that shows up in the dream and not her waking.
Honey, I'm getting to that. I can. Okay. So she's got the proline. I want to bring that up because I really feel like this 12 is huge in these charts. It's cartilage, joint health. I don't know if she has any problems with muscles, tendons, ligaments, skin. And it's an essential component of collagen, essential for proper bone growth. Imbalance may increase risk for leaky gut. So it's very important that she eats in accordance with her body. And it aids in reducing symptoms of menopause, and important for good eye health. You could do more studies. If you want to go on my website and order an actual written out chart, go ahead and do it, and I'll get into this more. But then she also has an Achilles heel gate, and understand it's almost like this 12 exasperates things. So then she has the 50, and the 50 is glutamic acid, and that has a lot to do with mental health. It has to do with vitamins and minerals and proteins being able to cross the blood-brain barrier. And so if you get a report, you could take it to the doctors. A lot of times doctors don't take amino acids seriously, but there are major studies. So this has to do with the brain, and it's a building block of protein, and it's critical for the immune system and your digestive system. So I don't know if she has digestive problems or not, but with the proline and the glutamic acid, it can be exacerbated. It fires, it's a neurotransmitter. It has to do with the central nervous system. It has to do with the brain. And so it really supports brain function. And what happens is if it's off, you cannot get rid of like toxic chemicals in your brain, and it can cause some mental health issues. And then she has 2 Achilles heel gates, or not Achilles heel gates. She has the line 15, which that 15 is already a tough one. But she has a discrepancy in the lines, and then also with her 19. So let's look at these. 19 is isoleucine, and 15 is serine. Yeah, and serine's a tough one also.
I don't know, these are all items we can just buy in the vitamin aisle. I don't think I've ever heard of a lot of these.
Amino acids, yes, you can buy them, but the thing is you don't know if she has too many or
Okay.
enough. So without somebody giving an amino acid panel, and remember, she has that 12, and that's a stop code. So it's very likely that her body's overproducing them. So just to go, and I am not a doctor, and I would
Yeah.
just, so talk to your doctor or ask them to get a full amino acid and vitamin panel, because
Yeah.
this could be huge for her. I know when Spirit first brought this to me, mine was theranine, and I immediately went out and bought theranine, and my psoriasis got worse. And then upon further research, it was an overproduction. So what did I say? Theranine? No, I said serine and isoleucine. Tell me if I go past it. Serine. Okay, so serine's about blood sugar levels, immune systems, also sending chemical signals to the brain, digestion, physical and mental health. And so it helps with the DNA and the RNA function. So as you could see, I think you said that she's having some mental health issues right now and some
Yeah.
all of these things are kind of working together. Imbalances with glycine. The glycine works with the glutamate. So all of these things, and here's the deal: the doctors don't really want to, or they don't know. They don't
Yeah.
know the amino acids. A lot of them don't. But that's where everything starts in our body. DNA is
Right.
our building blocks. And so they're going around and they're treating the symptoms. But if they could treat the symptoms all they want, but if it's an amino acid imbalance or a DNA, oh gosh, I can't think of a mutation, you're putting lipstick on a pig. You're putting a band.
Yeah,
And
I feel like they just spitball and give her different, antidepressants and different things for mood. And I'd like to see what we can do in the natural department.
yeah, and did you say that she was having
Yeah, she started developing seizures, and it may have been, something that she actually kind of created because she stopped taking one of her antidepressants. She didn't like the aftertaste or something like that. So by doing that, she actually may have triggered epilepsy to occur. But they also said that comes with somebody that's, overdosed on certain things. And then when I'm listening and looking at your charts, I'm thinking about her diet. And I mean, she's addicted to sugar and caffeine. That's all. I mean, she loves sugar.
yeah.
So it's awful.
You know what? It may be, and you may want to check this, but when somebody's addicted to sugar, well, first of all, her body needs sugar because she has the 60 and she has those format. But if she's addicted to sugar, it could be a parasite infestation. And with all of these different, so something to look at. And I will say that Spirit kind of has led me there, and I've been deep diving it. Candida or parasite infection. I just bought some to do a total parasite clean, which a lot of times that getting your gut health in will help so much. So again, something to talk to the doctor about. Like I said, if you want to order a report where I could put it all down for you and stuff so you could take it in. So I just met with an actual doctor today of functional medicine and dietary health, because I see the patterns. I don't have the medical knowledge. My knowledge all comes from my line one and studying this. So I can't give you any medical advice.
Okay, yeah, no worries. It just feels like, we've done some of the labs and the blood tests and things, thyroid and everything for this kid. And I guess they just don't have the ability to test for a lot of these things outside of, like, now there's a lab that says we can spit in these myriad of tubes and to get an analysis of our saliva and how we're producing enzymes and things like that. So
there are amino acid tests. Doctors usually don't do it, and you usually have to pay out of pocket. And so that was one of the things I was researching today, is with this doctor that I had met, is how do we get a full amino acid, a full vitamin panel, and even, look at parasites, and then also any food sensitivities. So, but parasites are huge. But yeah, she has, as you can see, she has a very, very active dream life, very active. And well, she's a generator and a generator. So that actually is to her benefit in this case. But she's got this 515 in dream, and she's got the 515 in the waking. And the 515, the 5 I know is all about time, losing time. Like you could just, I have the 5. I could wake up and it's 6 o'clock in the morning and I look at the clock and go, how is it 2 a.m.?
yeah.
Yeah, and then the 15 is no time.
No time.
Time is an illusion. It's a distortion of time. And then with the 50 that shows up and it's unconscious, that is corruption. So it's like that's the gate of values in the waking. So when it's showing up and it's negatively influencing us, it's corrupted values.
Okay.
And it's tribal.
And what is the stop code that you all mentioned? Like the 12?
The 12. There are, in the DNA process, there's what's called the start code, and that's this line 41 right here. And the 41 tells you've got DNA and then you've got mRNA. And mRNA is, the DNA tells the mRNA, and this is very, very basic. So anybody who really knows what they're talking about is going to go, uh-oh. But just from a basic standpoint, DNA tells mRNA what it needs to survive. mRNA goes out into the body and starts collecting all of the proteins and the minerals in order to make the recipe for the protein that the DNA needs. The 41 is the process where it says start. Then you have 3 stop codes. And the 12 is in the dream rave. And the stop code tells the mRNA when to stop producing it. And I have noticed through my research that when you have this gate 12, people's illnesses seem to be exacerbated, or there seems more of them. So that's what I'm finding. Oh, there's some chats. What is my website? Lauren, can you put in my website?
She did. Yeah, she stuck it in there. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So let's see. Who are we going to next?
I don't want to monopolize on me, Lauren, because I feel like I gave you like the whole family.
Yeah. So how we are on time right now, maybe we could go over like one other person's chart.
Yeah, we have about 15 more minutes.
So I know we're focusing on kids right now, but we have a lot of other charts. What are you feeling?
Who's here that has kids that we have their charts up?
So one of my clients, she sent me her kids chart, but she's not here live.
She's not here. Okay. Well,
Amanda said you've got hers, so she just put that in the chat.
Okay, let me see if I can stop this share and then go to, I don't have it here, but let me see if I can go to my website and let's see if I can do this. Oh no, that's no, that's what we just had up. How do I get to a website to share? Oh, I think I have to do it this way. Hang on. Let me do it.
So does anybody have any questions or ahas so far with anything? Do you feel like this is like landing or confusing at all? I would really love to hear what you. Amanda says, let's go with Bella. She's been having some help. So you have her chart, Vicki?
I'm trying to get to it to see if it will allow me to share. Let me sign into Genetic Matrix real quick.
Okay.
And then I will come back and see if it's going to let me share. Okay, share screen. Oh. Share. Let's see. Can you see Genetic Matrix?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, and I think I have Bella's chart. Bella Gibbs. Here we go. Okay, and you're just wanting the dream rave or overall?
Whatever you have time for, but I would love to know any health stuff. She's been having some health issues over the past year, and we've had lots and lots of tests and no answers. So I just don't know where to go.
51 and 57 4. Okay, let me go back. It's more difficult when I have to toggle back and forth. Okay, so the 28 3. Nope, that's not a problem. The 50, the 51. She
So
does
it
50.
shows up twice though.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say. So the 50. Where are you saying it?
No, it shows up twice in her dreams.
Oh, that's right. Okay, but it was the 50.
It's
And
the
she has the-
51.1.
Yeah, so that, I think that was, yeah, that's not a problem. Okay, and then the 57. Okay, I think this is where, if we have a problem. Yep, this is where the problem is. Okay, so she's the 57.3 because, and she has a line discrepancy. And then is she a split definition? Okay, so 10, 16, and 20. So 20 is going to be where that problem is, or where there's a challenge. Because you see, she has a design line. So that means there's the split is going to be in design. Okay, that probably means nothing to you. Okay. So now let's go back. Let's stop this share. Stop share. Let's do a new share so I can get my amino acid stuff up. Okay, so the 50. Happened to my paper. Okay, so the first one, the 50, glutamic acid. Okay, glutamic acid, also known as glutamate. Glutamine and glutamic acid, they're two different amino acids, but they're related. So if there's an issue with glutamic acid, there may be a problem with glutamine. And because the glutamic acid is derived from, or glutamine is derived from glutamic acid. let's see, it's part of the immune system, digestive system. So it has to do with intestinal health. It has to do with your brain. If you're having any kind of mental health issues or foggy brain. And let's see, again, the brain blood barrier, which we talked about. Let's see, enhances clarity of thinking, mental alertness. It may produce an overabundance of B vitamins. It can result in anemia, decreased appetite, lack of energy, headaches, schizophrenia, pale skin, tingling or numbness in the hands and feet, almost like neuropathy. People that have an abundance or a depletion, it's easier for them to get PTSD, depression, inability to concentrate. It may look like they have ADHD, insomnia, fatigue, increased sensitivity to pain, long-term for older people, Alzheimer's, Huntington's disease, ALS. Also, addiction can be a part of this, because what happens when your brain's not functioning, you're wanting to take chemicals or what have you to kind of calm down that brain. Let's see, glutamine. Proper immune function, eye health. It helps for if you have injuries to heal faster. It can really cause you to overreact to stress and to build cortisol. It can be attributed to liver damage, again, seizures, skin rash, irritations, intestinal issues, frequent colds or flu. So, and again, this is not meant to scare you. It's meant to tell you that the things that could happen. Bella's very young. So if she's having issues now, if she starts living within her design and eating the way she's meant to eat, it will be very helpful for her. Okay. And then the 57-4 is, or the 57 is, you would think I would know these by now. Did I say, no, I said it was the 20. Let's see.
It's leucine.
Leucine. Okay. So again, this is muscle, beneficial for skin, bone, and tissue, wound healing, blood sugar levels like diabetes. It has a lot to do with the vitamin C, the vitamin B, muscle weakness, skin peeling, bowel disorders, autoimmune diseases, and again, skin rashes, hair loss, fatigues. Leucine also, isoleucine, leucine, and valine, they're called branch chain amino acids. They are the most commonly used and metabolized amino acids within your system. So let's see. Diabetes, obesity, cancer, mood disorders. Is any of this hitting home, Amanda?
Yes. I'm just like, because the glutamate, is it glutamate?
Yeah.
That one, it showed like working with the leucine, like it showed them together. And I was like, oh, I wonder if she also needs that. But she's been having a lot of digestive stuff. She's been losing weight. When she gets a bruise, it's there forever. Like she doesn't even know how she got it. She's always very pale. Like there's just so much stuff. And it's just like you go to the doctor with all of these like symptoms and they don't really seem like they go hand in hand, you know what I mean? And just those two specific amino acids seem to cover quite a bit of
What she's having
to be the issue.
Like?
Yeah. And
okay,
that's
so She about a year ago, after she got the COVID for the second time, she pretty much stopped eating any meat, any eggs. She just can't do it. She keeps trying. It makes her like gag. And so,
Eating what?
any meat or eggs
Oh, wow.
has come out of her diet, and she's lost. I mean, she was already pretty, slim figure, and she's lost over 20 pounds over the year. And I'm like trying not to freak out about it, but I know that there's something going on, and the doctors just keep, let's just keep doing all of these tests. And she came back negative for celiac or any autoimmune inflammatory, markers and stuff like that. So, but they haven't even tried to do any vitamin testing other than vitamin D and iron, and she was good on those. So
they test like 5 of them. And here's the thing is they test for them, but if she just ate something that was high in iron, then her iron's going to be okay,
yeah.
So, and a lot of doctors are going to fight with you because they don't really understand the amino acid. So maybe getting her a full amino acid vitamin panel, and then finding a neuropath,
Can you bring up her chart again, Vicky?
I can.
Well, surprisingly, the specialist, she's a gastroenterologist specialist for the Seattle Children's Hospital. And she was like, "Are you into naturopathic stuff?" And Bella was like, "Yeah, she is. That lady right there is." And she was like, "You might want to try like mushroom tea."
Yeah.
And so she was like bringing that stuff. And I was like, interesting. But I'm just like, there's got to be something, because she like never really had anxiety. Like it, she's no longer in public school. We're doing online school because anxiety just went through the roof. And yeah. So.
Yeah, so her digestion is closed. So this means that she intuitively knows what to eat, and it's seasonal. It's seasonal produce. It's like locally sourced. I have this digestion. So it's always saying no until you're open to something. So it's like her really honoring that. And it's like how it makes her inner world feel, because she has inner vision. So that's important for her. So it's like really being in tune to the seasonal fruits, the seasonal vegetables. It's a little bit rigid because it's still more of that like primal diet. It's a little bit more of like, it's a sensitive way to digest. So it's not like any like processed food. It's not going to be good for her. It's more like natural stuff, stuff that's easy to make, stuff that she can just intuitively gather together, because that's what this diet is. It's all about the gathering of things, and just easy to make. It's intuitive taste, so it's intuitive like knowing, and then it's just like envisioning like how does this make my inner world feel, like is there a lot of clutter around her when she eats, because that could also be disrupting her digestion. It has to be minimal.
Yeah, because she's the hyper fixated on when she wants something, like, and that's all she wants. But then she like, so it's like, does it sound good to her? And even my oldest like brought this up. He's like, it's just kind of weird. Like, you're hungry, you go get something to eat, but like it's like a full experience for her to even eat a meal. She's got to like, it's got to sound good. It's got to like,
and she may eat the same thing morning, noon, and night for 3 or 4 months, and then she doesn't ever want to see it again.
Correct.
If you say, "Oh, this is so good, taste it," and she looks at you and it's a no, all the airplanes in the world, that mouth closes. Mm-mm.
Mm-mm. Well, and her body's been very reactive. Like, she'll like, it sounds good to her sometimes. She'll like step out of her comfort zone, like trying to eat meat, and she'll immediately gag. Like, she literally cannot eat it. So It's
Yeah.
like,
It's
just
her
listen to
body
your
telling her
body.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what closed digestion is you're open
Yeah.
to it or
Yeah.
it's closed. And it's
Yeah.
no, no, no till it's a yes. So,
Mhm.
oh, hey, Brittany,
Okay.
you
Well, thank
managed
you
to
so
stay
much.
on this long and we haven't done any charts for you, but is there somebody you would like us to do real quick?
Or did you have any questions, Brittany?
She may just keep the
Comments?
camera on and she's asleep. Oh, okay. Brittany going once, going twice. Yeah, we're going to pretend she's on a bathroom break and not asleep. So, okay. Well, I think we got everybody. And for those that have made it this long, we want to really thank you for being here. And we would love your feedback on it, on what you thought of it and what you believe would make it even better for you, because we're always here to improve ourselves. And that's it.
So to anybody who's watching the replay, if they want their own charts ran and have a report, they can always reach out to Vicky and we'll provide her her link in the description. It's Your Unique Design, but it's spelled. You want to tell them how you spell it?
YOUNIQUE.
Okay.
So it's youruniquedesign.com is my website, and you can order an amino acid report. So there you go.
And yeah,
we-
so anyone else whose charts we didn't get to that didn't show up live, you can always reach out to us. Get the report. If you want to be coached on how to align to your kids' design, you can reach out to either me or Vicky to do some coaching or receive any sessions. If you feel like you want a package and you want to like have community and a membership, like let us know so we can put that together for you. And any other questions, any comments, drop them in below or reach out to us. And we just want to say thank you so much for being here. This information is really life-changing. It's the leading edge. It's where we're going forward. And we're just so grateful we can bring it all to you. So thank you all so much.
And bye-bye.